And let's just say, or let's just discuss. Let me see. I'm always, every time I go live. Hold on one second. All right. So, I have like a busy day today. I'm in South Florida. It's rainy. It's cold. It's 58. It's not as cold as most of the world, but when you are a Miami girl, 50 is cold. 67 is cold. 50 is cold, cold. And then like for anything under 55 is freezing. Okay. I got the seat heater on. I'm in the car because like I kind of like this angle, and the videos are performing a lot better in this space when I record in the car. So I don't know what it is about the car, but y'all like the content that be happening in the car. Anywho, so if you hear the pitter patters, that's the rain you'll be hearing. But uh what can I dive into? There's so many topics, so many things at hand. And I think what I want to leave open is leave me a comment. What are some things you would like me to discuss? Because I have so many story times and different things that I've experienced. Again, I'm not on here giving advice. I'm on here talking about my experience and the things that I've come to see and the conversations that I like to have. And I'll never forget, I guess I can use this space to talk briefly about like dating. So my daughter said to me, she's like, oh, this was in November, December. She was like, oh, I bet you're not going to have a Valentine's Day. What she don't know about her Libra mama is I love a good challenge. So you tell me I'm not going to have a Valentine. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I actually am not in the headspace to work on having one because I'm not in the mood. But it brings me to the point where I've said before on the podcast, and I'll say it here on YouTube, is I'll never forget that one therapist that told me, she's like, why aren't you dating? And I said, oh, because I'm in the middle of a divorce. And she's like, you do know that you cannot fix your issues with relationships by yourself. Girl, who you talking to? You on my side or they side? Anywho, so I always think about that. And I just posted a video on TikTok where I said, I saw a video where another young lady talked about why people should allow their children to date. Again, dating is not something that's reserved for only adults when you teach your children to respect the boundaries that you put in place, right? So, for example, if you know your child has a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you cannot be upset when you find out they're having sex if you never told them not to have sex. You also, and as a professor, I taught medical terminology, and a lot of the class was spent debunking myths. And it's like, well, what are y'all learning in high school? And so they get to me in college taking this class, and they're still like sniggling and giggling when we get to the chapter that's on reproductive. Now, mind you, it's medical terminology. It's not an anatomy physiology class. It's not a biology class. It is not it's not a class specific to nursing or anything. It's literally medical terminology. So because they are doing a bachelor's in healthcare administration, they just need to learn, they need to be abreast on the terminology. And one of the things I would stress to them is that the terminology that you take, the terminology that you pick up, will only be significant to the field that you enter. For example, I'm not well versed in dental terminology because I'm an optician. I'm not well versed in the terminology that medical lab technologists would use, even though I'm a phlebotomist, because my scope stops at drawing blood, knowing the tubes and knowing the test. I don't have to know what the test is for. I only know that because I have a doctorate in health science. But more specifically, if I stayed a phlebotomist, I didn't have to know what the test is for. I just have to know the name of the test and what color tube to draw it. I don't need to know the outcome of the results because I'm not diagnosing. I'm not the ordering physician, and I'm not the medical lab technologist who runs the test and put them into the system. If you go into billing and coding, if you are working billing and coding for an optometrist versus a psychiatrist, like the terminology is different. So with that being said, it was like a lot of it was debunking. I think for me, teaching my children, utilizing research and resources to assist me in raising them. So, for example, there's a lack of research when it comes down to lack of sleep and cognitive abilities. And so, when I was a professor, I had a student who did some research, who wanted to do her senior research in lack of sleep and cognitive abilities in college students. So cognitive abilities are the abilities to have executive functioning. Pretty much is your ability to think straight, to function without coffee, no stimulant, that type of stuff. So if someone gets a lack of sleep, then they feel like, oh, they need the caffeine to perform throughout the day. Welcome to the live. Thank you for joining. Say hello. Um, but their ability to function throughout the day. So here I am, a mom who is also a doctorate in health, has a doctorate in health science, who works with vision. I've been talking about blue filter glasses since like 2014, because that's when I was first introduced to the technology, even though I had been in the field a long time. But technology evolves, technology changes, right? So I was introduced to the technology, I'm gonna say 2013, because I think my son was born 2014. So 2013, I was introduced to the technology. Then fast forward to 2020, I've been telling people about blue filter glasses. There's somebody walking by. I, excuse me, I've been telling people about blue filter glasses, and then here I am with the business where I'm promoting blue filter glasses. It's not new technology. It's just new to y'all because you're recognizing, oh, we're on the computer, we're working from home, my eyes are dry. What can I do? What drops can I use? Da, 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 da. So I'm like, oh, there's blue filter glasses. Great success. But knew about it since 2014. So I say all of that to say, when I'm raising my children, I look into the research. I look into, because people are like, what is health science? Health science is not just, oh, diet, exercise, what you eat. No, health science is your way of life. Scientifically, what are the things that you need to be better in your life, to function like your health, to function in the ways that is healthy? So for me, what that looks like is the 7 areas of health. So, oh, my brain. The 7 areas of health. Putting together, what is your lifestyle? What you want your lifestyle to look like as far as health? Yeah, I'm gonna work out, but for me, I'm not a gym girly, so I walk and I lift weights, and I love a good group class, because my cognitive abilities are enhanced when I'm in community with people that do similar things as me. So I love a good Zumba class, Pilates, Pure Barre. I like those things. Cycling. Those are the things that I like. Then, of course, when we talk about other things, so you need an adequate amount of sleep. You need to be able to adequate amount of sleep. Of course, a healthy diet, eating for your blood type, right? So I don't like to use the word diet. I like to use the word nutrition, because again, somebody might say, oh, well, I'm on the whatever diet. Then you find out their diet is full of salty foods. They're not eating what they need for their blood type, because they're eating like a lot of microwave foods, a lot of things that will need salt to preserve it. And so on and so forth. So when I consider that I have a son who loves the game, and if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for his dad, he would have never been introduced to the video game. But it was a means to be like, hey, move out the way and sit down. As somebody who has a younger brother, who I saw, the game is practically where he spends a lot of his time. He spent a lot of his formative years. Yeah, because his dad passed away, but it was just easier for him to find, to place his grief over in the game. Now, as an adult, that's all he wants to do. I'm seeing those things. So it's kind of like a social research. It's a social science aspect to it. So what did I do? Well, what did my son do that acquired him to not be on the game for a number of months, only for me to create a system for him to earn it back, which I've talked about before, and I'll put the link to the system in this episode. So the link to the system, which I've talked about before, is a way for him to earn time on the game. So now he's up to like 2 hours of screen time one day a week, 2 hours of game time one day a week. Reason being, some things that I had noticed while he was on the game. Not that he couldn't separate reality from real life because it's not a game thing. He couldn't separate how he talked to his friends on the game from how he talked to me in real life. Because his friends on the game, they're not here, they're virtual. But such as this, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's that connection, if you can understand where I'm going. So I'm finding like there was a time where he would not sleep straight through the night. He would get up in the middle of the night. He would have a hard time falling asleep. Like, it was repetitive. Can I tell you, since he's been, this has been going on since October, November, December, January. Met with the psychiatrist for him and was able to say, hey, how's he sleeping? Oh, he's sleeping straight through the night. He goes to bed, he falls asleep, he stays asleep. The less screen time. Because the research tells us that screens, because of the technology, because you want to have the 4K, the big screen with the better lights and the better pixels and the whatever, the technology of those screens are great. They're amazing. These phones, everything it's amazing. But guess what? They emit blue light. Too much blue light does affect your circadian rhythm, which your circadian rhythm is needed. Your circadian rhythm is what regulates your sleep. Your brain needs to understand that it needs to turn off. The average American, it says the average American spends about 7 hours on screens a day. I don't think that's true. I think it's the data is a little conflated and not taken into consideration what people do outside of work. There's like no real way to track that. But you can look on your screen time on your phone and see, oh, you spend 21 hours on your phone. It's only 24 hours in a day. How you spend 24 hours of it on your phone? Not to mention probably you on the phone scrolling. You got the TV on for background noise, what you watching. You working on the laptop too. You answering emails throughout the day. Somebody like me, I stopped wearing my Apple Watch in an attempt to regulate my nervous system. Plus, I didn't like that my wrist had that little line of demarcation on it, because when I would be like, when I didn't wear my Apple Watch, when I'm going somewhere fancy, I got this line, this tan line. So I stopped wearing it to get my color back, but I no longer be feeling a little vibration on my arm. So my Apple Watch, I haven't worn my Apple Watch in like 7-8 months. I have to look on my health app, but I haven't worn my Apple Watch in a long time. I'm saying 7 months. Let me see. I didn't wear it in October. I probably stopped wearing it in September, October, November, December, January, February. Well, January. So about 4 months. I haven't worn my Apple Watch in about 4, maybe 5 months. I'm not sure. Because I was recognizing a few things. I was having issues with my thyroid, which has which pretty much has resolved itself. They're like, what are you doing? Well, I stopped stressing about certain things, but I started regulating my nervous system. How do you do that? When I take a shower, I end my shower with a cold shower. I switch the water to cold and I let it do what it needs to do, and I'm fine. Then I stopped wearing the Apple Watch in an attempt to regulate my nervous system, because I was always checking, and am I getting up the steps? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? When naturally I can just do those things because I walk a mile a day. I make sure to be active. I do yard work. I do a number of things around the house. I work out in such an untraditional way. So I'm going to do what I need to do without the Apple Watch. There's 2 phones. The thing about it is, one phone is personal, one is the business. The business phone goes off at a certain time. So this way I'm not in the hustle and bustle of the 2 phones. Having a better self-care routine, journaling in the evening. I think I want to start journaling in the day to kind of get the good thoughts flowing. And these are just some tips and tricks if you're having issues with your nervous system, because what people don't understand is the nervous system, just like how you can see, I want to turn this around without turning it around. Just like how you can see all of those power lines, they're powering so many sides of the house. Like if that power line go out right there, that has nothing to do with the houses. That has nothing to do with the houses that's on this side that I'm looking at, and everything to do with other houses, right? And so that's kind of how the nervous system works. You don't know until you know, like, what part of your nerve, like, you could get your nerves can get so amped up that you'll start having pain all throughout your body. You can get your nerves so amped up that you start having headaches and your vision start getting blurry. Then you might have a stroke, you might have a heart attack. Like, there's so many components to the nervous system. So when people talking about doing all of the healing rituals and going to therapy and doing all of these things, sometimes you just need to take a step back and see where you feel it in your body for the sake of the nervous system. Well, where are they coming from? But with that being said, remember you can tune into Black Girl Say Something every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to click the links in the description of this episode. Get a little interaction. Go and interact with them because they're there for you. And if you saw this live and you ain't subscribed to my YouTube, why you ain't do that? You know, we still on TikTok. TikTok is back and we there. And check us out. Until next time, remember, this Black girl has something to say. So tune in.